But I remember a friend of mine, or a person that I called a friend of mine, named Billy Harbaugh, was sitting on the tarmac of the Piggly Wiggly grocery store in Aiken, South Carolina. Piggly Wiggly was a grocery with it had the brown paper bags with a little pig face. And he was sitting out there with his cut-off jeans on and no shirt, and his
Thank you, sir. Anytime, appreciate it.
his brown was as brown as a buckeye was his back, because he had scoliosis. His spine was like that. And he sat, and I remember how, in that summer heat, how the sweat ran down his back in an S into the back of his cut-off jeans. And he sat there, and he had a red Crayola, and he drew hearts onto Piggly Wiggly bags. You see, his deal that Sunday morning was to fill up a bag of hearts. And one of the things he did for the carnival was he was a knife thrower. And he had a set of throwing knives. But he didn't want to be that. He wanted to be an artist. He wanted to be an artist that was different from the others. A step away, they used to call it. My grandmother used to call it. Why do you keep wanting to be a step away from everybody else? I don't know. He wanted to be what was called a pawn shop knife thrower. He collected these cheap Korean Chinese knives from pawn shops, and he wanted to learn how to throw those, being able to pull them out of his pocket like a pin, open them and throw them and hit his mark. He wanted to be able to do it. He practiced it all the time. Really hard. Well, he had a wife that was 17 years old, named Janet, who was extremely talented in so many ways, I must say. She was a slack wire walker. You know what a slack wire walker is? As opposed to a tight wire, the wire came down almost to the ground like that, and she would balance herself on it, and she would swing herself back and forth as she walked up and down the wire with sparklers and hula hoops, right? Unbelievable talent. She had multicolored leotards. She had perfect little Barbie feet. She was something, really something. So of this Sunday morning, you see, Billy, he fills up a couple of bags of hearts, full of hearts, and he takes them over to his station wagon, and he puts them up against a bale of hay, and he walks right back towards me as I'm standing by him, and he walks back towards me. He opens those knives with every stab. He opens another one out of this Kroger sack back in the eye. And he turns, and he got right to me, and he turned, and he threw those knives and hit those hearts. I knew that Billy Harbaugh was the greatest poet that I'd ever met in my life. He could say more with less words than anyone I'd ever met. What Billy was telling me was, I know all of it. Pull me back, will you? Well, I wish I'd have treated him better. I never heard from him again. I used to get Christmas cards from Janet. She and Billy didn't work out. She moved to Michigan, married a lawyer. 3 children. I used to get Christmas cards and birthday cards sometimes from her. But I always remembered Billy's last name, Harbaugh, because if anything happened to me, I wanted it on the inquest. You know that Billy's got a girl as cold as a switchblade walks the wires at night. Born and raised on the Carolina Midway, likes my songs all right. She said she liked my songs all right. You know that Cassiban was a fiddling juggler outside Baton Rouge. We got laughing drunk on tennis balls, fiddling blue suede shoes. He was fiddling blue suede shoes and he looked like Elvis too. These are friends of mine, strictly first name basis. Memories a stitch in time, I'm no good with face. Well, they all had smiles that I remember. All were born in late September. All were prone to the cabin fever, men. They were all so much like me. 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 You know that Sonny was a Filipino boy, and he lived in my backyard. He broke my grandma's dandelions, catching snakes in jars. I think she whipped us much too hard. You know, John had an El Camino car, dressed it up in pride. Took his girl to the wedding church and she never did look fine. He went to Mexico without friends. These are friends of mine, strictly first name babe. Memories a stitch in time, I'm no good with faces. Well, they all had smiles, I remember. All were born late September. All were prone to the cabin fever, man. They were all so much like me. 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 My Billy had a girl as cold as a switchblade, and she walked the wires at night, and she was born and raised on the Carolina Midway like my song. She said she liked my songs all right. Well, all right. All right then.